we go. Instagram. Marvelous Monday to you all. I am here, Danny, Growth Coach D, coming to you on this MindSHIFT Monday. Let's try this again. All right. Are we live? Let's go ahead and see if I can go ahead and invite our special guest for the evening. Those of you who are tuned in, where are you tuning in from? And how is your Monday going? You know, one word to describe your Monday. What would that word be? If you had to pick one word, what word would describe your Monday today? Just put that word in the chat and shift. Whatever it is, we are going to shift. Coming in. How's my connection? There we go. I got my fabulous, the one and only. Here we have Celeste Curry transformed with us here.
How are you?
We're talking today. I am wonderful. We're talking about Monday. I've had a Monday.
I had a bit
today.
of a Monday,
like Monday
too, and that Monday, you're asking for one word. I would say character building.
Character building. I like that one. I got my friend Eric. Interesting. I'm never sure how the beginning of my week will go. LOL. That's right. My brother from Florida. Character building. I'll say mine has been spontaneous.
Okay.
Unpleasantly spontaneous.
And you have to shift. I'm going to move my camera so that we're in better view. But
okay.
And
how's my connection
really
on your end,
Danny? It's actually really good.
Awesome.
And as you can see, I have rain going on outside. So you and I will be the sunshine today. And welcome, everybody.
Okay. Yes. If you're just joining us, you're just putting the word in the chat. Let us know how your Monday is going. All had interesting weeks. But the beautiful thing is that no matter how your Monday has gone up to the point, right now can shift everything. And we have that capacity. And so I just want to encourage you. You know, it's not how you start. The race isn't given to the swift, nor the battle to the strong. It's given to those who endure until the end and who are focused on doing the right things consistently over time. So,
my gosh,
let's
today's
get right into
today's topic.
Come on.
I'm excited about it. I'll let you start. But when we started talking about this topic, I was like, whoa, are we really going to do this? It's like, oh, yeah, we're going to do this. So audience participation is welcome.
Very much. And we want to invite you guys to let us know what your thoughts are in the comments, questions that you might have, to put them there as well. No matter when you're watching the video, you can always go back and revert to where it is that you're struggling. Celeste is a fabulous counselor. I've been in the realm of coaching, and together there's a very unique modality. Help you shift your life in the direction that it's meant to go.
Absolutely.
So that you can grow. Now, Celeste, we were talking right before we went on this live about a couple that actually came to you because you do.
So this was interesting. So I was speaking with a couple and getting ready to get married, and they go to get their license, their marriage license. Everybody's excited about that, right? Congratulations, the wedding is coming. They read on the paperwork, in order to get their license, the county is offering half off of all the fees if you've had premarital counseling. So then I get the phone call and I say, you say what? Say what? And so I said, wow, that's interesting. And so, and I can say this is thank God I do know who it is. It's so, but the interesting thing is a lot of couples, and you and I were talking, Danny, a lot of men in particular have expressed to me and to you that they can do without that counseling thing. What did you tell me? You guys just like to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of men aren't interested in this
Yeah,
whole counseling thing. And but the fact, and so
mm-hmm.
the whole point about that at the county was that if the state understanding the statistics on marriage, I mean, it's going towards 60% divorce rate, right? We're at like 56, 57%. And so if the state understands that and they're willing to give you something so you don't come back into their courtroom for divorce, would that make you think? Would that make you think that just maybe this is the thing that is so easy for me to do by just saying I do, but it's also the thing that I need to be more prepared for than anything else in my life, more than your career, premarital counseling, or marital counseling if you're having some trouble is more important than all that college education that you've had, because that college education, you end up getting that 4-year degree and you're out, or that master's degree, and you know that graduation date is coming, but you don't graduate from marriage unless you divorce. So why, Danny? Why?
And
Huh?
wait, is graduation though? Is that a graduation? If you divorce, I wouldn't know if that's graduation or retention slash like you now
You
going into the other school,
are. This is
the
true. This
alternative.
is true. Yeah. So yeah, you're never graduating from a marriage or premarital counseling. But we
Yeah.
would love to know what you guys think. But Danny, I just got to ask you. I know you don't represent all men. Please know that I get that. But because you're here and I get to pick your brain, why is it that counseling is the thing that you most desperately need? I mean, come on, we prepare for everything else in life. Why are relationships the thing that we think that we can come from two different backgrounds and jump into without a lot of education? Why do you think that men in particular want to avoid that?
So I'm glad you asked the question because without question, the vast majority of men who I have worked with and who I have had an opportunity to engage with on a number of different levels, working one-on-one, working in small groups, they're resistant to counseling. As a man, what I can say is this. Men in general don't like to admit they need help. And there's a number of this, including but not limited to the perception that if I have to have help, that means that I couldn't do it by myself. And one thing that men fear more than anything else is being perceived as incompetent, being weak, not being able to, have what it takes to do what needs to be done. That doesn't, culturally speaking, that doesn't rub men the right way. And because of this, the perception of going and getting help is frowned upon, because it's almost like you have to give away your man card. At least the perception is that if I have to get help, it's because I'm not strong enough, I'm not smart enough, I don't have what it takes. And we begin to misapply all of these different labels that prompt us to feel like, we're not man enough.
Oh,
it goes deeper than
good.
that. There's other nuances.
That's good. Because, and it's interesting because I remember reading this book. It's a very old book. When I was working with battered women way back in the day, there was this book that was calling my name on the shelf. And it was called If Only He Knew. It's a very old book. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's super old. Can't remember the writer, but that book was so deep. But it said that men oftentimes look at marriage, they look at a lot of things in life as mini goals. M-I, M-I-N-I, in many goals. So they accomplish it and it's like, yes. And they go on to do something else. They go on to accomplish things and they set the bar and they, and they feel very good about themselves for having accomplished it. And then they get into a marriage and it's the one thing that you never truly accomplish. So how do you get out of that mindset? Like, because a woman, oh my gosh, we just, like, I love how Mark Gunger is funny. He has like the two brains. But one of the things he says about the woman, he said with the women, all the boxes touch in the brain. Everything's related to everything for life. For the man, he said every box is separate and nothing touches. Nothing touches. It is, I complete this, I move on to this. So how do you reframe your mind to not only be in it, but to be able to thrive and contribute and love it?
But that's a great, I love how you phrase that. And you use a key word that I think is part of the problem and part of the solution. That word was mind. And so the mind has to shift. We understand that the problems that we're currently facing aren't going to be solved in the same level of thinking that we were at when
Say
those
that
problems
again.
were
Say
created.
that again,
we
please.
have.
Can you say that again, please?
I hope I can. But it was the problems that we're facing in life cannot be solved and resolved on the same level of thinking that we were on when those problems were created or manifested. And so we have to understand that, even while we're still figuring it out, we've got to change the way we think. We have to think about our thinking, metacognition, standing back and saying, okay, what are the implications for this relationship being one that is either going to stay stuck, stagnant, deteriorate, and or what would happen if, just like figure out what's wrong with my car, I said, hey, you know what, do you guys help with XYZ elemental P? What would happen if, when I can't figure out something that's wrong with my body, and go to those who specialize and I say, hey, you know what, this discomfort, can you help me get to the point where my body is actually growing and being, healed? What would happen instead of just continuing to deteriorate? We preemptively, we proactively, we systematically and strategically said, hey, you know what? I think it's a good idea for us to look at trying to improve in this area of life. Men don't naturally think of that. And so, like, for instance, men aren't going to read a relationship book. They're not going to go to counseling. The only men that I know, well, maybe 95% of them, is when they're in a very, very, very uncomfortable crisis. And like it's killing them from the inside out. It's then that they'll go and grab a book. And by then it's often too late. It's then they'll go and sit down to counselor. And I don't want to say it's too late. I take that back. Completely take it back, because it's never too late. Is there anything too hard for the Lord?
There's nothing too hard for the Lord. There are some things, though, that we put on the Lord that's not the Lord, but that's a whole conversation.
You can take that rabbit hole. But to summarize what your question is, I think that men have to get to the point by having some honest conversations with each other. We need to prioritize. We need to bring that box closer to somebody else who can help us improve that box. It can't stay in isolation, because if that box stays in isolation, a man isn't necessarily going to even go talk about his problems. He's not going to help. Men who, they say that single men don't live as long, because they're not going to say, you know what, I've had that same pain on the back of my, the married men typically, they're prompted, hey, you need to go get that checked out.
Yep.
but men aren't going to go. It's just not our first inclination. And
Yeah.
so as a result, we end up oftentimes in relationships that are not thriving, and we don't necessarily know the path to get to a better place. But there's always one that's there. First step is getting that help, getting
Yeah.
outside of yourself to someone who specializes in helping you grow in that area. And so if I was going to use the analogy of sports,
Mm-hmm.
which men, historically speaking, right? In the realm of sports, men understand that the very best, those who are firing on all cylinders, those who are really performing at a high level, they've got coaches. They have
Yeah.
people, like teams of people, that are helping them perform at a high level.
Yeah.
And I say to the men that are listening, let that same principle be true for your relationship.
Yeah.
You have to have somebody when, not if, you hit a rough patch. Because it's going to happen, just like the tide rises and it falls, just like we have the seasons, winter, spring,
Yeah.
summer. It's bound to happen. What are we going to do about it? How are we going to avoid becoming a statistic? And I'm here to say that there's one sure way, and that is to be proactive about saying, hey, I need help. And what I love about your story, and I want to make sure that you get a chance to share it, is the guy who was the guy who came to get counseling. His rationale was literally, well, you describe it.
Yeah.
Tell me
Yeah.
what
It's literally that if the state understands that there are some building blocks that I may or may not have, that they want me to have in order to keep me out of their courtroom for a divorce, and so that I don't become a statistic, and that things can look a lot better for this county and everybody in it. But in order for me to even have a fighting chance with the statistics already being against the decision that I'm making to get married, if they thought enough to give me half off if I can show that I went to premarital counseling, I'm going to go do it.
Because he didn't want to do it. He was against counseling. He wanted to just like, no, we don't need that. Wait, they're going to give us half off? Wait, they're going to give us half off?
And
What
it
do
wasn't
they?
even about the money for him. And when he thought, it was like, wait a minute. You
Yeah.
mean to tell me that the state really cares? Because they're going to pay more
Yes.
for me their premarital counseling
Naturally.
in the long run than they're going to save.
Mm-hmm.
But they are going to save their marriage before they get started.
Yeah, that part right there. Say
Yeah.
that part again.
Yeah, they're going to save their marriage before they get started. They are going to have, people go into marriage with the frame of a car with absolutely no wheels. They are going nowhere. They're going to stay stuck. They're going to stay in their car, and they're going to blame each other for them being in that same spot. But the wheels, that's the premarital counseling. It really is. And it gets you going, and you'll forever and ever and ever keep going. So I even have a rule with my couples: start over every 90 days. Every 90
I love
days.
it.
Start over every 90 days. And then every year on your anniversary, come for about 4 sessions, 4 weeks prior to your anniversary, unless you're already in counseling. Come and do that. I mean, we do it with everything else. One of my favorite couples that I'm seeing right now came when nothing was happening. They've been married a year, and they came and they're so happy, and they're leaning on each other in the sessions, and they're hugging and they're kissing, and I love it because their ears are still open. So yeah,
That's really good. And so this story that you were sharing is so powerful because it wasn't about the money, but it was the fact that he had the rationale, the cognitive processing to say, what do they know that I don't know? Maybe I do. And so we're saying to couples that are out there, yes, look into it, especially men. hey, you get help for everything else. You don't know how to fix your it's hot outside. If your air conditioner went out right now, you really gonna get a screwdriver and a hammer? Come on, be honest with me, men. No, you're gonna go to somebody who has the tools, who specializes in helping people just like you through these sticky situations. And so we've got to look at it in the same way that we look at everything else, whether that's sport, that's entertainment, the best in any field. They've got people who are helping them continue to perform at a high level. And the area of romantic relationships should be no different. So
so someone said something to me too. What was it? Yeah, it was kind of along the lines of that. I was trying to remember the exact sentence. It was so powerful that I almost fell out my seat. I almost fell out of my seat. But yeah, it's the thing we don't prepare for, and the thing we're so shocked that it didn't work.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll say, because in all of my premarital counseling, for those on here that have never gotten married, or for those that are married and you feel like you're stuck, if you haven't gotten married, I want you to ask yourself, I want you to look at the tree that you're getting them from and ask yourself if you still want to do it. He or she is not separate from the tree they come from. Look at mama, look at daddy, look at sometimes we think we got the best out of all of them, right? It's like, no, boo boo, that's the same tree. It's the same tree. And for those that are married, while you're trying to figure out why he and why she, look at the tree. It's gonna tell you probably almost everything you need to know to fix the issues, and then take it to someone, because that person is not going to be able to. Unfortunately, a lot of people can't see it because they've lived with the toxicity on autoplay for so long that they can't accept that there's something that it hasn't served them. So that's my piece on it. I know we weren't going to be on here long. If anybody has any questions, put them in the chat. We are talking about relationships. Danny just
Yes. And we do want to respond to your questions. We do want to encourage everyone that as you hear me say, and will hear me say on multiple platforms, that every relationship always has room to grow. And the thing that I appreciate about you, Celeste, is from the clinical perspective, you have seen so many lives transformed. And I wanted to ask you, I don't know if you've announced publicly, but I know you changed your handle on Instagram recently.
I did, because it's got to be action.
Okay.
It's got to be action.
Okay.
And I'm a counselor, but I'm going to tell you, all counselors aren't created equal. Everyone is not actually transforming lives. So I said to myself, what are you going to do with these people? It's like, we're going to transform them.
Go.
We're actually going to make a difference. We got to, make it. And that's what I love about your intentionality about what you do for relationships. It's not like you're just showing up to talk about it, but you actually are doing that. You have the tools, and you're putting the tools to work. The screwdriver is not just sitting, collecting dust. You're actually picking up and you're using it, and you're getting results. So, and I say thank you for that, because all counselors are not created equal. We need the best coaches to go in and do surgery, and you're doing that.
We appreciate the affirmation. And whether counseling, whether coaching, or just the overlap, because there are some that are skilled in both modalities, but I think that everybody should benefit from both. And the more you invest, the more return that you will you reap. So you have the entrepreneurial side of you as well as I do, and so I appreciate that, because when we look at our relationships through that same lens, we need to invest in them more consistently, more regularly, preemptively, before catastrophe strikes. The best time to prepare for the storm isn't while the storm is upon us. And so, looks like we froze there. You still there with me, Celeste? Well, whether or not she's there, whether I froze, whoever froze, I want to thank those of you for coming and joining us tonight. Remember, you have everything to gain, nothing to lose. And if you get out of isolation, we can grow together. Everyone have a wonderful and blessed evening. God bless.